You feel it, don't you? A subtle shift in the air, a shrinking of your world. 10 years ago, the goal was ownership. You saved for a house. You bought a car. You built a collection of movies, music and books. You owned things, and because you owned things, you had security. You had a foundation beneath your feet that nobody could take away. But today, that foundation is dissolving. You don't buy software anymore. You rent it by the month. You don't buy movies. You stream them for a fee. You don't own the heated seats in your car. You pay a subscription to turn them on. And the house? That dream is drifting further away, replaced by the reality of perpetual rent, paid to a corporate landlord who owns the entire street. They call it the sharing economy, or subscription services. They frame it as convenience. They tell you it's modern, efficient, and flexible. But if you look at the history of money, if you look at the patterns that have destroyed empires before, you will see it for what it really is. This isn't a new economic model. It is the oldest one in the book. We are not moving forward into a high-tech future. We are rewinding. We are returning to the default state of human history. We are returning to serfdom. The system is being redesigned right under your nose, and the goal is simple. A world where a tiny elite owns everything, and you pay them for the privilege of existing. This is the story of how the middle class is being quietly liquidated, not by a war, but by a business model. To understand where we are going, we have to understand where we came from. We have to go back to the last time the world looked exactly like this. We have to go back to Rome. In the early days of the Roman Republic, the strength of the empire wasn't its legions, it was its farmers. The average Roman citizen was a small landowner. He had a plot of land, a house, and a family. He was independent. Because he owned land, he had a stake in the system. He fought for Rome because Rome belonged to him. This was the ancient equivalent of the middle class. But as the empire grew, something changed. A new class of super wealthy elites emerged. They had access to cheap capital and cheap labor, slaves from conquered territories. They began to buy up massive tracts of land, creating giant corporate farms called latifundia. The small, independent farmer couldn't compete. He couldn't match the prices of the mega farms. Then came the taxes. To fund its endless wars and expanding bureaucracy, Rome raised taxes on land. For the mega wealthy, these taxes were a nuisance. For the small farmer, they were a death sentence. One by one, the free citizens of Rome went bankrupt. They were forced to sell their land to the wealthy elites. But they didn't leave. They stayed on the land they used to own, working it as tenants. They paid rent to the new masters. They went from being owners to being colony, the Latin word that eventually gave us the term colonist, but in legal terms meant something closer to serf. By the time the Roman Empire fell, the middle class was gone. The society was divided into two distinct groups: the potentes, the powerful few who owned the earth, and the paupères, the impoverished masses who rented it. This transition took 200 years. You are watching the same process happen in 20. Look at the housing market. For 50 years, the American economy, and the Western economy at large, was built on a simple promise. If you work hard, you can buy a home. Home ownership was the primary way the middle class built wealth. It was a forced savings account, a hedge against inflation, and a piece of the world that was yours. But after the 2008 financial crash, the potentes returned. Institutional investors, private equity firms, and massive hedge funds realized that a population of renters is far more profitable than a population of owners. They began buying up single-family homes by the thousands. They didn't buy them to flip them. They bought them to hold them forever. In 2024, in some American cities, institutional investors bought nearly 30% of all homes sold. They enter neighborhoods with cash offers that no regular family can compete with. They are the modern latifundia. And just like in Rome, the result is the same. The price of ownership is pushed so high that the average citizen is forced out of the market. You are being conditioned to accept that you will never own a home. You are being told that renting is freedom. But renting isn't freedom. Renting is dependency. When you rent, you are subject to the whims of the owner. You are subject to rent hikes, to eviction, to rules you didn't write. You are a guest in your own life. But housing is just the tip of the iceberg. The serfdom pattern has gone digital. Think about the things you use every day. Your phone, your computer, your tractor, your car. You paid for them. You think you own them. But do you? If you try to repair your own tractor, the manufacturer can shut it down remotely. If you try to modify the software in your car to make it run better, you void the warranty or, in some cases, break the law. Companies like John Deere, Apple and Tesla have fought tooth and nail against right-to-repair laws. Why? Because if you can fix it, you own it. If you have to go back to them to fix it, you are just a user. Ownership implies control. If a company can reach out through the internet and turn off a feature in your car because you stopped paying a monthly fee, you don't own that car. You are leasing a service. BMW made headlines for trying to charge a subscription for heated seats. It sounds ridiculous, but it is the testing ground for the future. They want to turn every physical object in your life into a service. Your fridge, your washing machine, your doorbell. They want to transform products into revenue streams. This is the economic concept of rent-seeking. In a healthy capitalist economy, you make money by creating value, by building a better chair, a faster computer, a tastier burger. But in a rent-seeking economy, you make money by gaining control over an essential asset and charging people for access to it. The most profitable companies in the world today are moving aggressively towards subscription models. Adobe used to sell you Photoshop for a one-time fee. Now, you pay forever. If you stop paying, you lose access to all your work. Microsoft, media companies, fitness apps, they all want the same thing: monthly recurring revenue. They love it because it's predictable. It pleases the stock market. But for you, the consumer, it is a slow bleed. It turns your life into a balance sheet of liabilities. You are bleeding capital every single month just to maintain your standard of living. You are never building equity. You are simply paying for access. This is where the trap closes. In the old feudal system, the serf was tied to the land. He couldn't leave because he owed labor to the lord. Today, the mechanism is debt and subscription. When you own nothing, you have no collateral. You have no safety net. If you lose your job, you lose your access to everything immediately. You lose your home, your car, your software, your entertainment. This fragility keeps you compliant. It keeps you working in jobs you hate for wages that barely cover the subscriptions. It creates a population that is terrified of disruption. A population of owners is hard to control because they are self-sufficient. A population of renters is easy to control because they are dependent. And who benefits? Who are the lords of this new manor? It's not a king in a castle. It's the asset management class. It is the shareholders of the massive conglomerates that own the housing, the intellectual property, the water rights, and the farmland. We are seeing the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, but it's not just money moving from the poor to the rich. It is ownership moving from the many to the few. During the pandemic, while small businesses were decimated and millions lost their jobs, the billionaire class added trillions to their net worth. How? Because the system was rigged to protect assets, not income. The Federal Reserve printed trillions of dollars. That money didn't go into your pocket, it went into the financial markets. It inflated the value of stocks and real estate. If you owned assets, you got rich. If you worked for a living, you got inflation. The inflation we are seeing now is the final nail in the coffin of the middle class. Inflation destroys the purchasing power of wages. It makes it impossible to save enough to buy into the asset market. The house that was $300,000 is now $600,000, but your salary didn't double. The ladder has been pulled up. This isn't an accident. This isn't just bad luck or market cycles. This is the inevitable mathematical result of a debt-based monetary system combined with a rent-seeking corporate structure. The Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek wrote a book called The Road to Serfdom. He warned that as the state and corporate power merge, the individual loses economic freedom and eventually political freedom. We are walking that road right now. But the scariest part isn't the economics, it's the psychology. The system is designed to make you happy about it. That famous phrase from the World Economic Forum prediction, "You will own nothing and you will be happy," wasn't a threat. It was a sales pitch. They pitch it as minimalism. They pitch it as being asset light. Why be burdened with ownership? Why worry about maintenance? Just subscribe, just float. Live in the pod, eat the bugs, watch the screen. It appeals to a generation that has been battered by economic crises. If you believe you can never win the game of ownership, you might as well stop playing and just enjoy the rental. It's a coping mechanism. But notice what the elites are doing. While they tell you to embrace the sharing economy, they are buying islands. They are buying farmland. They are buying gold. They are buying bunkers. They are acquiring hard, tangible assets as fast as they can. They know the truth. They know that in the end, the only thing that matters is what you truly own. Digital numbers on a screen can be erased, access can be revoked. But land, resources, gold, those are real. They are building their castles while convincing you to live in a tent. So, what happens next? If this pattern continues, where do we end up? We end up in a neo-feudal society, a society with a permanent upper class of asset holders and a permanent lower class of service workers. Social mobility will cease to exist. If you aren't born into ownership, you will never acquire it. The gap between the rich and the poor will not just be a gap in money, it will be a gap in rights. The owner class will have privacy, the renter class will be surveilled, the owner class will have mobility, the renter class will be restricted. We are already seeing this with the credit score system. Your ability to participate in society is based on your financial compliance. In a subscription world, if your score drops, you don't just lose a loan, you lose access to your life. This is the serfdom pattern. It destroyed the Roman Republic. It created the Dark Ages. And it is the blueprint for the 21st century. But there is a flaw in their design. Feudalism relies on the docility of the serfs. It relies on the people accepting their lot in life. But we are not illiterate peasants. We have access to information. We can see the pattern. The first step to escaping the trap is to see the bars. You have to realize that the convenience of the subscription life is the bait. You have to reject the narrative that ownership is a burden. Ownership is responsibility. Yes, it is hard work, but it is the only path to freedom. Every time you buy a physical book instead of a download, you are fighting back. Every time you fix your own car, you are fighting back. Every time you save to buy a piece of land, no matter how small, instead of renting a luxury apartment, you are fighting back. They want you to own nothing. They want you to be dependent. They want you to be a serf. Do not let them. The cycle is closing. The transfer of wealth is accelerating. The window to secure your independence is shrinking every single day. The system is designed to strip you of everything. The question is, are you going to just watch it happen, or are you going to prepare? Because history teaches us one final lesson about serfdom. It lasts for centuries, but it always ends the same way. When the serfs realize there are more of them than there are of the masters, the system doesn't just change, it collapses. We are watching the setup. The collapse comes next, and you need to be on the right side of the fence when it happens.